actually here with a good friend of mine, Richie Diaz, been on the job for the MBTA for how long now?
31 and a half.
31 years you've been on the MBTA, and I was on there for like 24 years of service.
We go way back.
Yeah, way back in time. Many things we used to do, clown and
Clown on each other.
Yeah.
Have a good time.
Have a good time going to work. And to be honest with you, even though I might have clowned the food around, I always had a plan. And my plan was to go to work. I figured two things. As long as I go to work and be on time, and I wasn't on time all the time, but I would say 90% of the time, and I wasn't on drugs or doing something foolish or alcohol or things like that nature would mess up.
He wasn't on drugs.
Not at all.
But he'd do foolish things.
Yeah, that I did. So when you're talking, just be normal, have a normal conversation, act like the camera's not there. What we just kicked all the time, and people like organic things and being real. So you ain't get to be all like trying to hide certain things and blah 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 blah. I think more importantly, even though you've been on a job for a long time, why we're here today is me coming to visit you.
Very special.
Yeah, visit you, man. And when you told me you got sick, I said, nah, not again. Because every time I get on Facebook, I hear people, getting sick or passing away and not knowing they've been sick or hear about the bad news. I'm like, man, not again. So, and some of my friends have passed away. I know my good friend Barry Mackey had passed away. And before he passed away, I remember he called me up and said he's in the hospital. And I didn't get the opportunity to go see him. And I was supposed to go see him, but I got caught up distracted because I didn't think he was going to pass away. I thought, he'll be all right. Let me go see him the next following day. And that happened. I was like, I always remember, like, man, when people get sick, it's so important to see them that time because you never know when God will call them home. And that's a scary moment. I said, let me go see Richie. I knew I was going to come in town, so I'm going to surprise him. I'm going to go up to the hospital. And I said, let me call first. So we're here today now about your stroke situation. Let's go back into that. If you don't mind, we talk about that?
Let's go.
Okay, so tell me that day that hit you hard.
November 18th, I'm about to get out of work, and I'm just doing a little test at work that required my position to do this test by a certain date. So I did it, but I'm slouched back on the chair, moving the mouse, answering questions. And sometimes, you feel kind of weird sitting down. And I have the type where if I sit funny, my right leg will go numb. I've had that before. I've stood up, walked it off, and it goes away. But this time, I'm walking to go get my stuff to get ready to go home. And I noticed my right leg is dragging. And I said, oh, this is weird. And I had to drag myself all the way to my car, my right leg. And I drove home. Thinking it was still sciatica. I couldn't get up the steps at my house. And I pulled myself up using the handrail, and I made it up. I took off my uniform. I said, I'm going to take a nice hot shower, pop a couple of Advils, drink a nice cup of tea since I didn't have to work the next day. I figured maybe the symptoms would go away.
So why didn't you go to hospital while you was at work?
Because
most men, what they do is they don't want to go to hospital.
I didn't want to go to hospital.
Right.
And I thought it was sciatica. I thought, this will go away. But the next day I wake up, my right arm is done. It wouldn't even move. I had to move it like this. The only thing I could move was my fingertips.
So that was determination. So let me get out of here and go to hospital.
So I said, this is more serious than I thought. I got dressed the best I could. And people said, why didn't you call an ambulance? I called an Uber. And the Uber took me just down the street.
Yeah. So hospital was close by then.
Yeah, and I told the hospital, I think it's sciatica. And they did an MRI all over the place. Listen, I don't recommend MRI to anybody.
I know, that MRI is dangerous.
That is scary. I don't wish that on anybody. That's like a torture device.
Yeah, I think I had that same experience at one time when I went in and I was praying and trying to remain calm. And I'm like, if I knew if I would have took a peek of an eye, I would have panicked. And I would have had to rush to get out of there. It's very dangerous for that. I don't recommend it. But we have to do it, though.
I mean, MRI is a cylinder. They squeeze you. And I'm a little bit of a bigger guy. So I was packed in like sardine,
Yeah.
And then you hear these noises.
Woof,
you sound like your cargo inside an 18-wheeler.
Yeah, with the same thing.
And I'm like, how long is this going to be? And I was this close to have just screaming and saying, "Get me that out of here!"
Yeah, they need to find a new system for that to put people in.
And they said, "Mr. Diaz, 2 more minutes. Hang on."
2 minutes was a lifetime.
So I just took a deep breath and I said, "Stay quiet, please. 2 minutes, please. 2 minutes." And finally done.
Was that the longest 2 minutes?
They let me out. Then they put me back in. I go, "What now?" "Now we're gonna check your neck." And yeah,
Was that the one the longest 2 minutes you ever been involved in?
Oh my God!
That's
oh my
like
God.
an hour thing.
Yeah. Now on the second thing, my nose is itching. "Can you scratch it?" I go, "No, I'm packed in. I can't even move my arms." I'm about to scream, and they said, two more minutes. Hang on." So I held on. They slid me out.
Torture.
The nurse scratched my nose. She says, "Here's my fingers. Use it as the scratches." So I'm moving my nose like this. And I said, "We're going to put you back in there." I go, "Come on." And they wanted to do my head. And they did my head. That was like 5 minutes, I think. And then the results came in later on. "Your back is fine. Your neck is fine. We found a little bleed on your brain." And I was like, "Wow." He says, "Sir, you had a stroke." I go, "Unbelievable." So I was at the Faulkner for 8 days with no arm, no leg. Only my left side was working. And
You ever get a chance to pray while you was in the hospital at all?
oh yeah, oh yeah.
I think your prayer is very important.
Absolutely, absolutely. And
That's all you had, really.
yeah, but I did. I try to look at it positive because this gentleman walked in like a supporter, volunteer supporter. He had a stroke. 36 years old. His hand was curled like this, and he was dragging his leg. And he told me about him. He says, "I'm a biker. I'm a swimmer." And I sell real estate. He was a realtor.
Wow.
And he said, "I thought my life was over, but I learned how to deal with it, work with it." Still shows that he has had a stroke.
Really?
He's like this 6 years ago.
And he's still like that to this very day?
To this day.
That stroke stuff is serious, man.
And I told him, I go, "Dude, you're very, very positive." He goes, "What else am I going to do?"
So what's the thing he might have told you that you're going to remember? Because even with people not knowing about the importance of they having a stroke and when to try to prevent it to get there, is there any prevention at all that they told you of?
I told them the situation. They still said I came on time, but they said anytime it's because I didn't know I had a stroke.
Right.
That's why. But they say when you have a stroke, immediate treatment.
Well, how do you know what you have in a stroke?
Right. I didn't know. I thought it was sciatica, but then they told me. But it turns out I still showed up on time. You know what I'm saying?
So you would tell someone that how to prevent it and how to know what are the symptoms that you should be aware of?
There's certain symptoms that can give you a stroke. In my case, they felt that I had a high red blood cell count and my blood was thick. So your heart pumps all this blood, but if the blood is thick, your heart's got to work harder. And it might have prevented death in the future because your heart's working so hard to push the blood all over your body that it gets tired and say, "Whoa, this thing's too thick."
So you think
They got me on blood thinners and aspirin and stuff now. So.
Okay. So you think that if your body feels normal, weird, go right to the hospital?
Go right to it and seek treatment right away.
Right away, right?
Right away. I don't know what they'll do, but they say it helps a lot if they treat it right away. So
Okay.
I'm on blood thinners now. I'm good. And after I lost use of my right arm, when I was at Spalding, don't ask me how it happened, but I'm waking up and I'm moving the blankets off of me. And I didn't realize I was moved it with my right hand, like with my right arm. And it's like if someone had unplugged their arm and it was just dangling. Now, someone said, "Oh, this is unplugged." And they plugged it back in and I got used of it again. Literally, overnight. It's not 100%. It's about 80% right now. But at least I got it back,
So you take this here. Your health is more important than anything.
Absolutely. That's, you only live once, and it's the only life you got.
Yeah.
You want to live at least with some quality of life, you know?
That's what second question I'm going to ask you.
Yeah.
How long you got left on your job, and when do you think about going back? And do you want to go back?
Yeah, well, I'm being told I should retire right now. I got 340 days left before I retire, and there's a big payoff at the end. So I want to do that, stick it out. 340 days, I'm all done. All done.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to walk into the sunset with my girlfriend. She's about to retire in 2 years, and we got plans, we got goals, you know, traveling, seeing the world, and enjoying life, you know, which is what everybody wants to do.
But if God forbid that you go back to work, you want to make sure you 100%?
Right. Hey, at least 99.
At least 99?
Give me 99.
Okay.
They said when I'm all done, I'll be at 90%. And the other 2% you'll pick up as life goes on, you know?
So, okay, so when you think about going back, actually to work?
They predicted somewhere around mid-January I'll be okay.
Right. Okay.
So right now I'm walking with a walker, and then now I'm walking with a limp. But my leg's not strong enough to walk normal. Because in the job that I do, there's a lot of walking and a lot of standing.
So you're going to make that decision based on how you feel before you go back?
Yeah, that's the only way. And because you ain't going to see no MBTA inspector with a cane or a walker.
In a wheelchair.
Yeah.
You're right. And another thing, too, your health is a bigger payoff.
Yeah.
The actual payoff that you're going to get from your
Yeah.
team. That's more important. I appreciate you sharing this story with me, man. I love you for that. I'm glad I went to see you. You're my friend for life, man. And I'm glad that we had this conversation. I want you to share this because you might be able to help someone else out, including myself.
Yeah. Please take care of yourself first, and then worry about everything else later.
You heard what he said? Take care of yourself and worry about everything else later.
Later.
Yeah. Talk to you guys. Appreciate you guys listening. I hope this helps someone else. Good night and good day.